Welcome back, travelers, and as you can see, we are on a thing called Tier Maker. Now, the main reason that we're here right now is because I have seen various videos on YouTube where people just grab a random thing and then throw them on a tier board like this. For those of you unaware, S tier means top tier, F tier means bottom tier. Basic grading in a Sonic franchise. As you can see here, we have 51? I think there's 51 Planeswalkers here. Urza is not included, so that would be the 52nd, but this is every other Planeswalker card, every other Planeswalker that has been printed on a card, as you can see. I will be basically going through each of these different ones. I have some notes that I took down. So there's their character design, so basically how cool I think they look, or how creative the character design is. The significance of the plot, which is kind of like a much more important one, I think, as far as their placement is going to be. As far as potential goes, I consider that to also be part of the plot significance, where they have a lot of room to grow or a lot of things that they can do. That's going to be huge as well. Their power suite, certain characters might be bumped up a bit because of the fact that they are insanely powerful, or be left kind of at the bottom because they haven't really shown what they can do yet. And of course, there's gameplay. If the Planeswalker card hasn't done much, then it's going to take a few points off of the chances of it getting a little bit higher up. So, without further ado, I'm going to go eeny, meeny, miny, Teo. Teo seems like a good baseline, so I think he'd firmly go in the middle tier. Primarily because he's very interesting as far as the things they're allowing him to do. He's only able to use shields, so what would seem like a weakness means that he has a lot of room to grow. They've put him at the forefront of the novel, so there's a high likelihood that he's going to have some kind of importance and significance, especially with, spoilers, Gideon being super dead. The chances of us getting a new mono white Planeswalker as the figurehead for it, a representative, is very high, and I feel like he checks all the boxes very easily, very well, and he has his own ties to Ravnica and all that, so that's why he goes in the middle. Estrid, literally know nothing about her other than the fact that she likes to make auras. She was made basically as a hole filler, and I do not like her. So there's that. Let's see. Obvious S tier character, Jace. The Gatewatch are all going to either be S or A tier because you are literally setting the story around them. You're giving them the most cards. They're going to be the best characters. They're going to have the most stuff that they can build up off of and the most opportunities to grow because you just give them so much. In comparison, we got, you know what? Yeah, let's just grab all the dead people. Like Dak Faden, Domri Raid, Freya Lise. Anyone else? I know there's no Xenagos. Xenagos is confirmed dead. He is not in the underworld because he died in Nyx. Not going to count Nicol Bolas as dead because he's technically alive. Also spoilers. Windgrace, super dead, sort of. He's been absorbed into his plane, but you know how that goes. Venser is dead. Venser is very dead because his heart is in Karn. Now, the reason I'm putting these guys on E tier as opposed to F tier is because while they did have some interesting things, I actually dropped Domri all the way to the back of this one, Dak down there, because I feel like Freya Lise and Windgrace did a ton more as far as storyline wise, so they don't deserve to be at the very back, right? And right on the cusp of F tier, like Domri Raid. There's the twins. They're pretty much not doing anything either. Will and Rowan Kenrith. They basically were introduced for the battle bond. They were like, yeah, we're fighters. And then nothing happened with them after that. I do expect them to expand on their characters, but at the moment, there's literally no indication. There was no plot threads dropped. There was nothing for them. So they're going to go into F tier as well. One has ice powers, the other one has fire powers. They're not exactly unique designs. And they're just generic characters. This one people might not agree with. This next one, I think this will be the last one for F tier. Everybody else seems pretty, at least somewhat redeemable. Vivian Reed. I don't like Vivian. I feel like her character was poorly done in the stories, and I do like the fact that she has like an arc bow that's has like these. It's basically Noah's Ark, but in bow form, arc bow. But the fact that she is supposed to be a good guy whose world was destroyed by Bolas, Yet in the one story we get with her, she's literally like reveling in the genocide of an entire country. It's kind of, there's some dissonance there. I don't think they quite sold the fact that the entirety of that place was a bunch of evil vampires. She's kind of crazy, and I'm thinking maybe if they're not setting up to be a villain, I don't know what they're doing with her. I don't think they're doing it right if they're not doing like that with her character. Zhang Yangwu, super cool, but just because of his dog. If it wasn't for Mawu, Zhang would be an E tier, I think. I would put Mu right next to him, but behind him, simply because she didn't show up at War of the Spark, and we didn't get much more on her. I do feel like they have potential to show up, which is why they're not lower down, because they have something to them. Zhang definitely has a connection. Mu is mentioned in the novel like once, but as far as they go, I put them D tier. I think I'd put Chandra at A tier. Chandra, also, who else? Probably Tezzeret. Where's Tezzeret? Tezzy, where are you? It's in alphabetical order, I think. Yeah. Tezzeret. Tezzeret and Chandra both obviously have Kaladesh connections. Dovin's either going to be S or A tier. Put him at the front of A tier for now. But Dovin is, these three characters obviously have a lot of connections to Kaladesh, a lot of connections to each other. We know that Dovin and Tezzeret are both currently being hunted, which is very important to their character development and their plots, where Dovin was kind of this, not necessarily, he thought he was a good guy. Tezzeret's just a sneaky man, and who basically is kind of just as bad as Bolas without enough power to hold up his ambitions. Dovin, I feel, is going to have a whole bunch of stuff going with him. I feel like both of them would be great candidates for the Phyrexians to be present during the Phyrexian storyline, which is why they're so high up, because I feel like Phyrexia is one of the next big plot arcs that are going to be happening, and both of them would be great. Tezzeret, because of course he's already worked with them, he was kind of seeded in as a potential father of machines, and Dovin because he's going to have the Urza kind of style where he'll see them and he'll realize the perfection that they have there. They may even give him back his eyesight, since they have a lot of those biogenics and stuff like that. So there's a ton of potential for those two, I think. I feel like Dovin could be a really bad guy, so he would have a huge turn in his design, and I think that would be great. Let's take Saheeli, Arlen, and where's Kiora? Let's take these three and put them in D tier. The three of them have had some storyline, but I feel like they need to have a bit more given to them. Kiora doesn't really have anything going for her. Saheeli's just kind of an inventor. She doesn't have any motivation really right now to go out and go do something, which is the same reason for these two as well, is that they haven't been given enough of a push. I feel like the werewolf design is very interesting, but yeah, maybe above Kiora. Saheeli's newest card is extremely powerful, which is what pushes her above these two. Arlen's never gotten a good card. Vivian, I have never really enjoyed any of her cards. Mu, same problem. Not a lot of opportunity for growth there, since she has literally one card, and it was meant for very restricted standard play. Okay, so these next two I'm gonna put up here, and both of them are technically dead. Gideon is very dead, and he's from Theros. Elspeth is technically dead and is in Theros, in the underworld to be exact. She's not dead though. She's not dead at all. She's actually alive. She's just in the underworld because that's the way their world works. And I feel like there's a huge Therosian adventure just waiting to happen with her when they bring her back. It's going to allow everybody, a bunch of different characters that are connected to her, to actually work towards that, and then she'll be able to fight the Phyrexians. So she's got a whole bunch of stuff and a lot of plots connected to her, which is what brings her above the other the dead guys club right here. Aminatou for sure. Aminatou super powerful. She can literally bend reality to her will, but she has literally nothing else behind her. I think that's super strong, super interesting, but the fact that she has literally no bearing on the plot right now is the reasons why she's middled out at C tier, in my opinion. Who else? Jaya's a mentor. Mentors have gotten a pretty good amount of screen time, but they've basically just playing sidekick Alfred to the main plot characters. I think I'd also put I wouldn't put Johnny and Teferi there, because even though they are mentors, they're still Gatewatch members. So I think I'd put a Johnny. Where is a Johnny? He'd be up here. A Johnny and Teferi both in the A tier, simply due to the fact they are Gatewatch members and are basically guaranteed to have some kind of connection. Same thing with Nissa. She has a lot of room to grow. Teferi and Johnny are both established heroes, basically. So I feel like their power suite is going to be good. Kaya's got a lot of motivation going for her. So she goes up there. Vraska's not Gatewatch, but her connection to Jace and the possibilities that are there, I'd say put her above Nissa. But she's still A tier, I'd say. C tier is probably just where all these people that I can't really decide on are going to wind up. Ashiok, maybe where's the Wanderer? These two, both in the case of the Wanderer, you don't know who she is. In Ashiok, you don't know what it is. So I'd say the two of them probably go in C, mainly because I find them both extremely interesting. I love the Wanderer. That's one of my favorite cards in the new set. Simply due to the fact that she's got all this like mystery around her. She doesn't even have a Planeswalker type. Her card is actually extremely strong, being very good against burn, but also good against like ramp and just beater decks. Yeah, I put a Mewtwo behind them. Let's see, Sarkhan. I like Sarkhan, so Sarkhan's going in B. I'll admit that is slightly biased on my part. He's above Elspeth, I'd say, because he got a lot of like, he was referenced in the War of the Spark novel. He was given a lot of good stuff, but he didn't actually do anything. As far as like personal, he didn't show up and say something. It was mainly just Ugin being like, yeah, so my guy Sarkhan, he did this. You should me. So like, I feel like there's a lot of room for him to kind of like heal, and along those same lines, Narset, where is she? Narset. I'm gonna put in C. I'm gonna put Narset in C, mainly because she's basically just right now she's just a connection to Sarkhan. I feel like she has a bunch of possibilities for her. She's a monk. She's really cool. People love her in Commander, and her new card is also really strong too. So like, I feel that she has a lot of potential, similar to Teo, similar to Wanderer, where they can do good, but they haven't. These guys, they don't have any motivations. These have some motivation of some kind. The Wanderer is like some kind of fighter. Kasmina, I'm going to put into D tier, mainly because her ability suite isn't exactly unique. Her design isn't exactly unique, but she does have a very interesting hook where she appeared in the War of the Spark auxiliary, the extra secret novels chapters, and she showed up and apparently already knew about the Eternals and was like, let's get them, and she just starts killing Eternals. So the fact that she does not appear in the novel, the main novel, but appears in the secret chapter with basically just a mention and is already protecting people, like she's already part of some super group, some secret super group that we don't know about. I find that extremely interesting, and if it weren't for the generic design, I would put her higher. Samut and Huatli, these two suffer the same fate, I believe, in that I love their characters, I love their designs, but I feel like they haven't been given enough power behind their cards. They're willing to give characters like Jace or Chandra or Nicol Bolas extremely powerful cards, but in these two, their particular case, I have not really gotten, especially at Huatli, I have not gotten much. Samut, I use her red-green, the original Planeswalker card, extensively for Planeswalker tutoring, but that's basically all she does. And her creature is very strong too. Yeah, let's put her at the front of D, because I like Samut a lot. But Huatli, I really wanted to like Huatli. I loved her in the story, like the idea behind her of a war poet. Basically not really having anything else on her. The dinosaur part, also awesome. But you know what, I'm putting her up here. I've convinced myself. Ob Nixilis, he pieced out on Amonkhet, knowing that he was basically abandoning those people to die. I feel like Ob Nixilis deserves to be in the B spot, simply because he has some plot lines that he could start up on his own. Tybalt, I'd put Tybalt in the C, I think. I'm gonna move him. Don't want to move Mewtwo down. No, I'll leave it there. But Tybalt, I'm putting in C. He's got a lot of the new comic strip. None of his cards have been that good. The newest one has the ability to stop life gain, which I like, but I mean, he doesn't really have much else going for him, other than being the most dapper individual you'll ever see. He's a dandy guy. Sorin and Nahiri, I'm going to put them next to Tybalt, partially because of the Innistrad theming, but also because the two of them basically just fought each other, and while that is an ongoing thing, and I like both of their designs, they're not doing anything for a primary plot, they're not doing anything really at all except just being mad at each other. So I'm going to just put them in the C because they're kind of just juggling them, they don't know what to do with them yet. Speaking of not knowing what to do with a character, I'm putting Garruk in B. I feel like the only reason he hasn't shown up is because he's hunting somebody. I made a joke with one of my friends that Garruk is currently trying to hunt down Aminatu, and she's home aloneing him like hard. So that's the only reason he didn't show up, because he was just distracted. I've seen some sources speculating or stating that Garruk was actually purposefully led away from it so that he wouldn't kill a bunch of planeswalkers before Bolas could harvest their sparks. So if that is true, that's hilarious, and I love it. Davriel, I'm going to put you in the C. Davriel had a novel. It was very interesting. His character had some great development, and then they just completely dropped the ball with, first off, his abilities. Yeah, I get it. He's stealing their thoughts, but he was just kind of lackluster. Yet I expected more from Davriel, I guess the best way to put it. In addition, he was... he had basically nothing, but he did steal the Elder Spark from a character, so that's a possible way they can take him. There's also the fact that I think her name was Tandis or Tendril or something, I don't remember, but the girl from the same novel, she's also a planeswalker. She didn't show up. I feel like Davriel is kind of just sitting in that middle spot waiting for somebody to basically push him out of his bed so that he'll actually do something. Speaking of doing stuff, we got Ral Zarek. We're going to put him up in the B tier. I'm also going to put Koth up there next to him. And maybe Duretti. And Duretti's going to go up here for now. Then put him in the C tier. Reason for Koth and Ral being up here, both of them have their connections. Ral has currently been set to hunt down, I want to say it was Tezzeret. Because Vraska had to go hunt down Dovin. Kaya is hunting Liliana. Yeah, Ral is hunting Tezzeret. And the connections there are very interesting due to the fact that Ral is an inventor, so is Tezzeret. Tezzeret's more of a thief than an inventor, but the idea of him having to go and Ral being the one to discover Phyrexia, rediscover at least, I feel like could be very interesting for his character, since he's a very emotional individual. He has a lot of ingenuity, and I feel like that'd be a good arena to put him into. Duretti, I love Duretti. Duretti's a goblin, first of all, and he has a spider mech for a wheelchair. Everything about him I love. He is the Iconoclast, which you guys may or may not have already seen that video on the Hedonist and the Iconoclast. He's one of the main reasons why I went with Iconoclast as the definition, because it just fits it so well, and I love his design, love his character. He can become a hero, he can become a villain, it could go either way with him, and that's awesome. We're down to our last 6. We're gonna go ahead and just grab Angrath, throw him in the C behind Teo. Yeah, let's put him behind Teo. Put Tamio behind Gideon. Tamio just realized that she needs to help people, so there's some opportunities for her there. Her character, the fact she's actually a rabbit is great, and I feel like they really messed that up on her latest card as far as making her look more human, but that's beside the point. Angrath, he just wants to be with his family. He's at rest, kind of like Davriel, where you have to push him. Sorin and Nahiri, you have to push them into the direction you want them to go before they'll go in that direction. And I feel like that's the reason they're in C, because they're very neutral. These actively have things that are stopping them because they don't really have anything. Samut needs to go back home. Huatley's just a poet. Sahili wants to go back home probably, or just explore. None of them really have anything that's setting them on a course for some kind of big adventure. That, of course, leaves me with Ugin, who sadly I'm putting in C tier despite him being one of my favorite planeswalkers, right next to his two best friends, mainly because of the fact that he's taking care of the big problem, being Bolas, who I think I might actually put in E tier simply due to the fact that he is technically dead. As I'm going through this, I'm realizing that. I might move Aminatu. I think I might move Aminatu. Yeah, I'm moving Aminatu. She's down to D. Because she just doesn't seem to be having the same kind of oomph behind her as these guys. That leaves these two. Karn, I'm going to put up here because he's super tightly directly linked to the Phyrexians, and he just has so much story behind him. I love his design. Colorless Planeswalkers they're my two favorite Planeswalkers, really. Karn, is great. His story is great. His name is great. The sound he makes when he planeswalkers, bing! So, I mean, why wouldn't you like him? So he's got all that going for him. He's technically a 5-color planeswalker. There's a bunch of cool stuff going into him. His power set is insane. He can time travel. So that's why he's going there. Definitely, he'd probably wind up somewhere else on the thing next to Dovin, somewhere else, simply due to the fact that if somebody else was doing it. I do have some slight preference for Karn in particular. Liliana, I'm going to put at the top of S tier. She has so much stuff connected to her, so many planeswalkers connected to her. She has the biggest possibility of becoming the next top villain, the next top hero. She has so many opportunities in her character design. Also, I just noticed it's a nice little triangle shape. That's great. Good job, me. But she has all these opportunities to grow and to... Okay, let's look at it. She had Bolas. She got out of her contract with the demons. That was a huge feat, and she was able to knock them out all out. She was able to knock out her demons, knock out Bolas, and then she broke the Chain Veil. Breaking the Chain Veil is a huge thing that I think is not going to fix her problems. I think it's just going to bind the Onaki to her, which is going to be its own plotline, I believe, on its own, which could result in her becoming incredibly insane and incredibly powerful, since the Chain Veil will basically be part of her. I don't know if they're going to keep the contract on her, or she is going to have a new one because of the Onaki. They showed that she has the ability to use blood magic, which is obvious, you would expect that, but it's still the fact they showed it. And then, of course, there's also the fact that she has Raven Man. The Raven Man has not been mentioned in the past novel, really, but I feel like that's something that it's a plot thread waiting to happen. I could be very wrong. Liliana could easily be dropped. I'm going to move Karn before Jace, because Jace is actually kind of, now that I think about it, he doesn't really have much going for him. He's kind of done with Liliana. I think he just wants to spend time with Vraska. And I think this is it. This is the tier list. I think that works. That mad dash of drivel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave your comments saying what you feel about this particular tier list. Do you think any characters could go higher? Do you think they should be lower? Are there any of them that you feel are like perfect, like that makes perfect sense? Do you feel like I slighted some, like, if I don't know, Vivian or something? If any of you like Vivian, say that. Tell me. I would need to find someone who likes her so I can maybe bump her up a bit. If you guys have any questions, if you guys have any requests, please feel free to comment them. I will look forward to seeing what you guys put. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, travel well. Dum 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 dum.